My name is Austen Menges, and I've been a pro editor for over 20 years with a focus on broadcast TV commercials. When I started out as an editor, some of the biggest epiphanies I had came from sitting behind pro editors and watching them work and just seeing how they navigated their timeline. What shortcuts were they using? How were they thinking about selecting shots or ordering shots? And I bet there's a lot of you out there who learn best like that too. And unfortunately today there's just very limited opportunities in sitting behind a pro editor. But with the magic of YouTube, I thought we'd do that today. So I'm simply turning on my camera. I'm turning on my screen recorder so you can see my timeline, so you can kind of see over my shoulder. And I'm just going to put up this unedited video where I'm going to have kind of this ongoing narration of different tips and tricks and how I'm looking at my timeline, what shots I'm choosing, the why behind my edit, in hopes that you can just kind of follow along. Maybe you open Premiere, maybe you just kind of have this on in the background and you sort of pick up on things, and that kind of just comes into your own editing so you can use it as well. A little bit like an apprenticeship would work. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I am really trying to answer all the questions. So what I'm working on today is I make a lot of exercises for editors to work on various things. And it usually starts with footage from Artlist, which has great stock footage. You can even download stock footage on their trial. It'll just have a watermark, but that's perfect for practicing your editing. And so I go through their footage collections and I find some footage collections that look really cool. And I usually just need to create one or two scenes so I can do this exercise. So today I'm doing one of those. I'm putting together a couple of scenes so I can do an upcoming exercise on how to choose music. So I thought, why not just press record and invite people into the edit suite? So as you can see, I already have the footage in my timeline, but if I didn't, I have a sound effect right here. So these are my bins. You will see in my earlier videos, I have videos on organization. I use a template, so I always have the same bins. And before I started this exercise, I downloaded some shots from Artlist, and you'll see them here in my media folder. And then you can see kind of the naming of these clips, that these are sort of go in a batch, and then these are kind of a separate scene. So my goal here is to edit this sailing footage in a way, I'll just scrub through here. There's kind of sailing footage in the water, and then I want to have a scene of people on land, as if they arrived and are kind of going on a hike or something. So that's sort of what I was thinking. Now, I typically work in a string out, so this long sequence here of all the clips is what I would call my initial string out. And how I would make something like this, I could go in the media folder, I could select all. I have a hotkey to turn it into a sequence, and it might look like this, and it would just lay out all the clips. And so now these are the clips I'm pulling from. This is my string out. Now I've basically already done that here. So yeah, and I'm going to be using tons of hotkeys. Almost everything I do is on the keyboard. Now, instead of telling you the hotkeys, or even somebody suggested I should have a little thing that pops up that tells you what keys I'm pressing, that wouldn't be very helpful to you because mine are almost all custom mapped. So instead of giving you an exact hotkey, I'm going to give you suggestions on what you should look at custom mapping when you're editing. So I'm giving you some ideas where you can go in, no matter what software you're using. You can do this in DaVinci, Premiere, Final Cut Pro. You can custom map your keyboard shortcuts. So I'm going to give you some examples of that. So then we have a sequence, right? So now I'm in my timeline. And then since I have a sequence started, this timeline, and this is my string out, I would just make a new sequence. So one thing you're going to see me do all the time is make a new sequence. Whether I'm making a big edit or because I already started a string out with all the footage, now I just want to make edits kind of as I go while maintaining this original string out in case I want to go back to things. Because one keyboard shortcut, I'm going to tell you right off the bat. If I wanted to find this shot in this original sequence, okay, so let's just quickly say I had pulled the select, right? And this is my scene that I'm starting. And I wanted to find it in this string out. What I would do is I would match frame this clip. That pulls it up in the source monitor. And then I have a hotkey to reverse match frame. So it finds this frame in here so I can quickly access everything in my string out. That's a question I get a lot. So I'm always kind of looking for things in reverse. But we are going to undo all that. We're going to put everything back. And what I want to do today is I just kind of want to watch through the footage, and I'm going to pull some selects by pulling clips up to the second video track so I can remember. And then we're going to think about story. We're going to think about what emotion I'm trying to elicit. And yeah, let's just do a little of that, and I'll kind of narrate as I go. So I'm going to press play here. And we have pretty cool sailing footage. Now, if I was doing this as a commercial project, I would sit back and relax, watch this all in real time, and I would take notes in my timeline. But since I'm going fast here, you might see me fast forward, you might see me skip through clips. I'm going to kind of do the fast version of this, partly so that this video is a reasonable length. Now, I think I'm not going to do nighttime stuff, so that's easy. So I kind of liked the part of this shot where we kind of saw the boat. Maybe the pan down is cool. So I might create an in point where the camera starts moving down and an out point after that wave splashes. Those are the actions I was looking at. Then I might quickly pull that little piece up to video track 2. That's where we're kind of, that's how I'm alerting myself. Instead of making a marker, which I could do with that hotkey, I'm just going to pull things up. So visually, I'm going to see all my selects on track 2. Then I have a hotkey where I can go to the next edit very easily with my keyboard. So I'm just going to pass these shots that are at night, and we're going to get to these shots. This is very cool, very beautiful. Back when I was starting out, I never had access to footage like this. I mean, in film school, we were fighting to be able to edit the coolest projects of the class. But now with sites like Artlist, and of course there's other sites, you have access to such cool footage. Like, I don't even know where this is, but it's absolutely beautiful. Okay, so what do I like from here? I kind of want to focus more on the sailing rather than the actual village. So I'm going to scan through here. Definitely like this shot. Shot through the water and the waves. Possibly could cut nicely. So I have hotkeys to select any clip I'm on. So I can go to the previous edit, the next edit, and you can see I'm actually selecting. And you see my mouse is not moving. So I can select a clip. I have hotkeys to pull it up to track 2. I can put it back down. I highly recommend being able to move quickly with the keyboard. So far, I like showing the sailboat. I like showing the water. Now this shot doesn't interest me much because nothing's really happened in it so far. I'm always looking for action. What's the action of the shot? This is a very cool shot. Let's see. We'll use my mouse to go back there. And we'll raise that up. Okay, we have a little close-up. It's interesting. This is nice. So it has some action in it. So I like the action of the hand turning the wheel. This is another cool angle of the boat. Could be cool. Also cool, but doesn't quite feel right for what I want to do. This I like just passing the landscape. That could cut nicely with the shot of the boat. I kind of want to have a sense of them arriving. If my next scene is them on the land, that's kind of what I'm thinking in terms of story. Getting wider, that's an interesting thing we could do, is go from close to medium to wide. Another nice close-up of the hand. That's interesting, could be an option. Very beautiful shot. This kind of says we've gotten to shore, so I'm always thinking in terms of story. I like that shot. More waves. Okay, so we have some shots there. Now I want to look at the stuff from land. But before we do that, I want to explain a little bit about what I highly recommend all editors do when they first start. So you've probably heard, maybe you've read the book In the Blink of an Eye by Walter Murch. If you haven't, you should definitely check that out. It's one of my main inspirations that got me started as an editor 20 years ago, or really elevated my editing once I started thinking about these concepts. The most important editing criteria is emotion. And it's not the emotion of the people in the scene, it's the emotion of the audience. So even when I'm just starting to look at footage, stock footage from a site like Artlist, even for a little exercise, I'm already starting to think from the very beginning, what do I want the audience to feel? And then second is story. What's going on? So if I was editing a commercial with a storyboard, which I'm usually doing, that's what I spend most of my hours doing during the week for my day job. You have a story, but in this case, we're kind of building a little story. And it doesn't have to be a complex story, but it should have a beginning, middle, and end. You've probably heard that a lot. So emotionally, I think I want to build a sense of adventure in the audience, or excitement, and then curiosity possibly as they're checking out what's going on land. Maybe a sense of optimism or grandeur in terms of emotion. And then story, I'm just thinking something simple like they're sailing in the boat, they get to a destination, and then they continue on foot and then get to their final destination, which is maybe some of these views up here. So that's what I'm thinking. So if you want to know more about my 5 editing criteria that are based on Walter Murch's, you should check out my free editing guide, which you can link, which there's a link in the description where you can download that. And you join my email list where I also send out weekly editing tips, which are pretty cool. So now let's quickly scan through what we're going. And you probably keep seeing me zoom in and out. I'm always doing that. I can zoom in with hotkeys, zoom out. I can zoom to the whole timeline. But okay, so now we are in this other footage, which I realize it's a different aspect ratio. So we might have to punch in on this a bit so they match. But I kind of want this group of shots to be more about them getting to land. So I wonder, just quickly scanning here. Okay, they're in the car. They get in the car. So maybe we'll just switch to the car instead of these shots. It's like they're riding a ferry. So I think the first shot is we're just going to go from possibly the hands on the steering wheel to them getting in the car. That could be an interesting kind of smash cut. A smash cut is where the environment or there's a drastic change in contrast between the two shots and the two scenes. So I might use that. It's a nice driving shot. That makes sense. Then now they're walking. This is kind of simply telling the story. I may not need 2 shots of them walking, but here's a different angle. It's cool. Going from them walking to them pointing seems to make sense. I like having the option of that shot pointing. Now they're going further. That's kind of a cool triumphant moment. I love this shot. That's so cool. Them sitting. I think these shots might be the climax. Okay, so I picked some shots. Not perfect, but we're just putting together a little scene so we can do a full demonstration video for another video. So you'll notice I've picked all my selects there. Well, I immediately go up to my sequences and I duplicate it. I add another number, so every sequence has a unique number. Opened it with a hotkey, and then we could quickly select everything on track 1. I could get rid of that, and then I could close the gap, and suddenly I've got these selects all lined up. I can even put them down on video track 1, all with a hotkey. These are some hotkey ideas. Now, if I was starting from scratch, remapping my keyboard, the best way to do it, sure, it's nice to get ideas like from sitting here and watching me work, but also be self-aware on tasks that you do all the time that are repetitive. I would keep a little journal back when I was starting out and say, man, I am always moving things up to track 2, for instance. Well, how could I do that without a mouse? And then I would think to myself, well, I need something to select. I need to be able to go to a cut, So I have to have that, which I'm doing here. Then I have to be able to select without a mouse. And then I have to have some sort of hotkey so I can go up and down. And then I would go to my keyboard. I'd put them in a place that I liked personally. And then I would memorize them and start using them. So that's the real deal ticket for those of you who really want to get fast. But these are some ideas. Okay, so what about order? What about order of these shots? What do I want? That's a pretty cool opening shot. I like that too. Like that. Okay, we get kind of wider. Kind of have a lot of different things going on. I think I have lots of shots saying the same thing. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to drag this all over here, and I'm going to pull quickly from this, and I'm going to start building it toward the beginning of this sequence. One other little trick is get to know your black video. So I create some black video. I like putting it in the assets folder. Drag some down here, but I always like to start with like 12 frames of black. I don't know why 12. 1 second always seems too long. So this way, when you go to, I press the home key to go to the beginning of my sequence. Then when you press play, you're watching the first image come on from black. So you can see that first cut, which is really important. So usually, even when I'm doing commercials, if I'm exporting a rough cut, I'll have 12 seconds of black at the head and the tail of everything. I feel like that works well too if you're posting your video on, not on YouTube. I do start at the first frame of action, not black. But when I'm sending out a commercial for a demo reel, I do include that black because that little 12 frames of black also gives the website time to load. It can solve some things. So something to keep in mind. Free tip. Yes. I am going back here. Okay, so what do I want to be the first shot? What are we showing here? I kind of want to get wider toward the end. I definitely want a shot of water. I kind of like this. I'm just going to put that over there. So I just cut it and pasted it over there. And then I want to talk about in and out points to establish this rhythm. So I do like the out after that water splash. So that's kind of the first shot. And in terms of rhythm, the length of that first shot is definitely establishing a pace, right? So that's a 5-second shot. Now what do we go to? Well, I do like the water, but I want to watch this shot and see if anything interesting happens in terms of in and out. I like the wave cresting toward the end. It's probably the most interesting part of that shot to my eye, kind of when it gets nice and bright there. So I might work backwards from there. I'm just trimming that up, and I'm just going to put that over there. Okay, so this can go away. And then I just want to see where we ended up. So we're just on the side of the boat there. Kind of like the idea of going to a close-up after we see the waves. So I might put that here, and then I'm always looking at the action of the shot. So the shot to my eye doesn't really start until the hand starts moving. So my end point would be right there. And I can come out anytime, but that's kind of what it felt right to me. Let's see what else we got. I like the idea of, now I wouldn't show the hand again from the other angle, but I like this idea as if it's a little montage of two close things happening. Like we got this, and then we have this knot being pulled up, the buoy. That's okay. Okay, then I kind of want to start getting wider, as if to say, okay, we're getting to a destination. Okay, we got another close-up of hands. Okay, so I think I'm going to not use these. I'll just delete them. Now remember, they're still in my previous sequence, so it's very non-destructive. I think I like this shot. Let me put this over here. Now I'm watching the shot, kind of seeing what I think the action of the shot is. Where is my eye going? And we got some bumpy camera work. I'd probably just go to the smooth. I kind of like how the boat settles, the camera comes down. Feels good. Then I want to go wide. I think this is sort of my I arrived shot. Now I'm just looking to see what are my in and out points for this. I think you can cut in and out anywhere in here. Let's just do that for now. Okay, so I can get rid of that. Let's see what happens. So we're going from this shot and then we're transitioning to what? Well, I know we had an idea to go from hands to hands, so I'm actually going to undo some of that. And maybe I will go back to the hands here. I'm just curious. So we kind of arrive. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna abandon that idea and start here. So we had his hand come off the steering wheel. Oh, I like the pointing. Like, hey, we're going somewhere. So I think of that in terms of story. That was a fine. I might clean out would be at the end of the action of the point. Now I could cut to the car, the POV of the driver. Let's see what that feels like. That kind of feels cool. Nice smash cut. Now in terms of in and out point, so you'll see in terms of rhythm, when I established that first shot being around this length, I kind of knew the subsequent shots would be in that ballpark because I'm trying to kind of have a consistent rhythm in this opening scene. And you'll notice I haven't even watched through any of this. I'm just kind of picking shots and putting them in order. This is a big pro tip. And if you're still with me, you're a real trooper. Hopefully you're getting something out of this. But I haven't watched through the beginning. So one thing I used to do at the beginning of my career, and maybe you can relate, is I would work on like the first few shots of an edit, and I would really try to make them perfect. I would try to find just the right in and out points. I'd watch them back to back over and over. I would start sound design, and then my day would get away from me, and I'd realize I only worked on like the first 3 shots of an edit. Now I do it very differently. I'd like to create a complete cut of something and then watch it all the way through. So I'm kind of giving everything a fair amount of time. And then I'm able to see everything from kind of a full cut perspective. And I find my work has really improved since I started doing that. So we're in the car. We point where we're going. Then we smash cut. We're out of the car. I like the moment where the second guy is revealed from behind the tree. Okay, we get a few steps. We get a kind of a head nod. Get rid of that. We get another point. Not sure if that's necessary. I got hotkeys to speed up. I do want to see going. Okay. I think we're just going to speed this up and they're just going to get there. And then let me just watch through this shot to see if there's a cool in and out point. I do like the arm raise. That's a nice action. This is cool too. I just wish it was both the guys up there in terms of story. So if I go back to this, checking. Well, now it's okay. So we have both the guys. So I might have to use this shot for this to make sense to me. This might be our ending shot. So you see how I went back to my original string out to find that? And I'll paste that in, get rid of this. Let's see. We're going to be walking a little bit. Got the arms up. Yeah, now they're quietly on the edge of this mountain. Okay, so that's our story. I like the action of his hand coming down. Gives me something. Now these shots are kind of similar. these two shots. Not ideal. I wish one was wider and one was closer. We gotta get rid of that. Okay, but we quickly put together a 45-second sequence of shots in a very rough assembly. And we just tried to do that. Let's see, we've been at this for a little over 20 minutes. Let's watch this. Okay, that's funny. I had the shot repeated. Let's try that again. All right. Okay, I felt we were on this shot too long. My gut got the point around there, so I trimmed that. Trim. That's nice. Probably a little too long as well. Okay. I don't love this shot. It's going to go away. And then I'm going to do a lot of trimming. I'm going to make a new sequence. Then we're just going to, I'm going to kind of trim as I go. So I could start in a lot later on this and still get that feeling of the tilt down. I like that wave. I'm going to keep it in. I'm going to put a sound there. The sound of that shot is the wave crashing. I can probably get out of that even sooner. Just improving the pace here. Doing some trims. I've got hotkeys to trim where my playhead's at. I'm going to come into this shot kind of after that camera bump. Okay, let's see how this feels. Okay, we might also, just real quick, punch in on this. Then we can just copy the motion, get rid of those crop lines. There we go. Now, alternatively, instead of punching in on this to fix the aspect ratio issue, one, we could just have it simply be a different aspect ratio, or we could we could add black bars to this to make it match. That might be better in the long run. But this is our little story. Okay, but a story is not complete without sound. So I think I'm going to put in some basic placeholder sound. I like to use Artlist. There's a beautiful integration with Premiere Pro. I am not sponsored by Artlist. I've been a big power user for a long time. But the Artlist library is now in Premiere Pro. So I can audition and drag sounds right in, which is pretty cool. I just typed in waves. Now, those are for sure waves, and that could possibly be the right sound. But instead, I'm going to type in sailing. This is kind of more what I had in mind. So here's how cool this is. Boop. Put in some waves. And it's in. So I don't want you to hear the sound of the sailing. So I'm going to have the sailing start. So I just trimmed off some. I'm going to do a little fade in. You can see it puts it in the root of your bin. So you can just drag it to your SFX folder. Keep everything nice and tidy. Things start to come to life. Now, I'm going to do some more detailed sound design eventually before I do the exercise. You know what else I'm going to add here? just as a little layer here, I'm just going to do some seagulls. And I'm going to type in the modifier distant. See if there's distant seagulls in particular. That's an option. That's kind of what I was thinking. And I'm going to save it, this sound effect, to come up on kind of the shot where they arrive. I'm going to have it help us carry us into the next scene. Okay, now we're driving. So you know what I need to find is a car. I'm going to say car highway. See what comes up. This is cool because it's interior perspective, which is what I think we want. I'm actually going to modify it with that. Car highway interior. And for speed, let's just go with this first one. It's only going to be for that first driving shot. It's going to cut out a chunk of this and have it hard in and out on that shot. And then for this, actually I'm going to keep it over both these shots. And then we're going to do some, what would I do? I do want some birds, and I'm trying to think where this is. This is Norway. I'm going to type in Norway. Sometimes you get lucky with some local birds. This I like. Kind of matches the vibe of the seagulls, but now we're sort of on land. So that came in from our list. So I'm going to drag this in. Drag this over here. I'm going to give us some more audio tracks. I can also move clips without using the mouse. You can see. Go frame by frame. It's very helpful. Butt it up right there. I think I'll drag it over these two clips. And then you know what else I want up here is some wind to help add to the story that they're on top of this precipice. All right. Let's see. Ooh, I like this. This sounds more like crisp wind. I'm going to put this in. These sounds are very rough, very much so roughed in. And then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab that black. Oops. Copy that black from the beginning, paste them at the end. And this is going to be extremely rough, but let's see. We did a quick 35-minute little editing exercise where we grabbed some footage, we grabbed some sounds, we told a quick story, and now this is ready for me to go in and do an exercise on how to choose music, which will be coming soon. Let's watch what we did. Okay, warts and all, this will start really coming together once we get the music in, and then we do the detailed sound design from shot to shot, and I will probably refine the edit a little bit more before the next exercise. If you stuck around this long, I hope you got some tips and tricks. I hope it was at least something you could follow along with your own Premiere Pro open. Maybe you were working on your own editing and practicing yourself, and you just had me on kind of in the background. And if you have any questions, please leave them below. I do answer them. And if you want to go deeper into my process, again, check out my free guide. You can download it at the link below. I also have an editing course where I give you my full process, where you work on really cool editing assignments and I give you personal feedback. So check that out if you'd like. And if you like this video, you might want to watch this one next. Happy editing.